Hello, my name is Michelle Thomson and I'm hoping to be able to represent you in the general election in May for Edinburgh West for the SNP. For those of you who weren't able to attend the hustings that was held recently, I thought it would be useful for you to hear a little more about my case and why I want to stand. Some of you will already know me from my involvement with Business for Scotland. I was first of all a founder member, then a board member and then a managing director. As well as growing the organisation to 13 branches and 3,000 members, I also got the opportunities to take part in events and events and Business for Scotland events the length and breadth of the country, from Blackhall to Bowness, from Skye to St Andrews. I took part in some quite high-profile debates, such as one against Danny Alexander in London's Guildhall that had over 1,000 people in attendance. I spoke with most of the members of the Scottish Cabinet and had a lot of media opportunities with Sky, BBC News 24, Scotland Tonight and so on. Of course, life is a funny way of happening to you and I'm certainly no different in that. Although I joined the SNP in 1981 when I was only 16 and campaigned alongside another student activist called John Swinney, I chose to go off to the Royal Scottish Academy of Music and Drama, now the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland, and study the piano. After being a professional pianist for a number of years, I then went and did a master's in IT. My brother, who has the maths brains of the family, bet me a fiver after that I couldn't get a job as a computer programmer. Well, I made the bet and I won the bet and subsequently ended up here in Edinburgh working for one of the large financial services companies. I stayed in that role for about 23 years before I left and set up my own small property management business here in Edinburgh. They say none of your experience is ever wasted, and I've been very glad of the diverse work experience I've had. That means I can talk to people, young families who are struggling with cuts to housing benefits. I can talk to Liberal Democrats about specifically why the Smith Commission will not deliver what Scotland needs. Labour Party members who seem unclear about the fact that Scotland's votes do not count and do not stop keeping the Tories out, and that's been the case for 4 out of the 19 of the last general elections. And of course I can talk to pensioners about their pensions and why the UK system is so complex. So what brings me to the table to stand up and be counted as a prospective candidate? During the referendum, I made a promise to myself, and that promise was that I had to use all my skills, knowledge, experience, drive and passion to get people to a yes vote. Now we've had a debate, we've had an outcome, but I realised that the promise, which was really about making Scotland a better place, still stands. So here I am. I thought about the qualities that I'd like to see if I were making a selection for a candidate, and I thought there's probably 3 questions. Now, if you don't mind, I'm going to look at my notes because there's quite a few of them. The first question you need to ask is, which of the candidates are most likely to be elected? You'll need to consider, do they live in the constituency? Did they bring up their family here? Yes. Has the candidate fully considered the implications on their own family life of working out of London for many days of the year? Yes. Can the candidate talk with people across a range of areas, from policy to politics to the economy to business and so on? Do you have evidence that other people think they can do that effectively in the form of endorsements? Yes. Do you have a fresh perspective that accords with the fact that people don't want to hear politicians, they want to hear a fresh perspective with real life experience? Does the candidate have energy, drive, commitment, passion and so on? Do they have political experience of speaking to the media? Do they understand critically the nuances in a constituency that means different language will need to be used to Liberal Democrat disaffected voters to which Labour voters you would use? Can they work collaboratively with the wider SNP team? The second question is, having hopefully been elected, which of the candidates has the skills, knowledge and behaviours to be a good MP? Have they previous leadership experience of building teams, of managing staff and other resources? Do they understand how to use their time effectively so that all the work can get done? Will their personal circumstances support the considerable demands of the role? Have they the energy to sustain a role based out of London on a 5-year term? Will they work on a basis of mutual respect to constituencies, to the SNP team, to Holyrood, to the Scottish Government? Can they help shape strategy within the Westminster group of MPs so that Scotland gets the best outcomes? And the final question concerns a re-election. We've seen here in Edinburgh West that the Liberal Democrats have held a seat for some time. Prior to that, it was the Tories. Now, wouldn't it be fantastic if the MP you're going to look to elect stayed in the job for a period of time? This is the right time for me to be your candidate. This is the right time for the SNP to win Edinburgh West. It's possibly the most exciting time in Scotland's political history, and we know that Westminster sits up and takes notice when we have a strong SNP group. I'd like to be part of that team, and with your help I would aim to win the seat for the SNP in May. Thank you for listening.